Welcome to a Fresh Perspective podcast, catering to the latest in ingredient trends, consumer insights, and food news. Brought to you by Corbion.
Welcome to a Fresh Perspective podcast, a podcast that is about everything food related. I'm CJ.
I'm Jenny.
Today, we are going to talk about channel shifting and what it means in the meat industry or for the meat market and the way we buy like steaks and deli meats and how consumers have changed the way they shop and where they're getting their groceries and how they're getting their groceries and kind of what they're looking for and what it means. And
nice. This is a lot to cover in one podcast.
It always is. It always is. I've got 100% optimism that we can always get through it. And then I'm like, we got 2 questions done.
Well, how do you buy your meat? Like, do you go to the store and pick it out yourself, or what do you do?
I mean, I do. I go in and we go buy it typically like the day we need it.
The same day?
Usually. I know that's weird, but I was reading this article about 10 amazing meat subscription boxes that you need to try. And I didn't even know these were a thing. Like I knew like Blue Apron, Freshly, all of those.
Yes.
Where it's like a full meal kit or like the one with like the broken vegetables, that are misshapen that I want to do.
Oh yeah, the ugly fruit or something. No.
Yeah, but I didn't know anything about these. Like Crowd Cow, how now Brown Cow, is an upscale meat delivery service.
We get Butcher Box.
Oh, but that's the next one. I've never heard of that. Yeah.
My husband was obsessed with it and signed us up for it. And I feel like
do you get to pick the meat, or like does it just ship you random meats? Or
it's a little bit like, have you ever so the answer is yes, you get to pick the meat if you want to, or they'll just send you a box of like random stuff that you have eaten before. If you don't get in there and alter it. Yeah, but like you can also get shellfish. I mean, we get scallops through that. We get steaks. We get ground beef. For a while there, we forgot to change it, and we got like 50 pounds of pork sausage, which we
nothing else comes with it. It's just like all meat.
It's just meat, and it comes with
for some reason
dry ice, and it's pretty cool, really.
I mean,
and you don't have to like divide it up. Like that's the problem with getting meat from like say Costco. Like I like Costco. I like saving money. But when you buy meat there, it's like 15 pounds of it in one container. So you have to divide it up unless you want to eat 15 pounds of meat at once.
Well, and sometimes my thing with like the other meal kit shipment boxes is, like last week when I picked these meals, I was totally sold on it. I was like, this sounds great. Then, it gets delivered and it comes time to actually eat it. I'm like, I don't want this anymore. But with this, I get like just a bunch of steaks and chicken, and then the world is my oyster, and I could plan whatever I wanted to eat with chicken.
And they're pretty good quality. I mean, I prefer like going to the butcher shop. Like if I had to pick like, okay, Jenny, you want your best steak ever? Butcher shop. That's the place to go. Because they like just killed the cow like 2 days ago. And it's seriously fresh. And you can cut like the thickness of your steaks, you can choose and things like that. But that's not convenient really in any way. So Butcher Box, kind of fills that gap for us.
I mean, I'm mind blown. I didn't know these existed, but we'll see if our guests knew these existed and if they ordered them too.
Yes.
So today we are joined by Amber Beckett and Ashley Robertson. Amber is the product manager in our preservation at Corbion, and Ashley is the senior manager of strategic marketing. Welcome.
Yeah. Thanks for having us. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for joining us. It feels like we just saw you.
So what meat delivery services do you get?
Do you? Did you know these were a thing? I didn't know these were a thing.
So I knew some of them were a thing, but I didn't realize the extent that they had them on there. Like I think there was one I saw you could get like beef jerky sticks delivered, like meat snack, like on repetition. But
our meat snacks box. Is that what you're talking about?
I mean, you can order that too.
No, that's my favorite. I love meat snacks. We generally
don't order the boxes like that, but I am intrigued by the Butcher Box. I've heard of it, but not ever.
It was the one that caught my eye out of this list. Amber, have you done this?
Pretty good.
So I was just looking into this because I got my dad a box of meat over the weekend because his birthday is coming up. And I was not familiar with any of them.
A box of meat. I love that.
Not alone.
Happy birthday, Dad. Here's a box of meat.
That's a very dad.
Did you know about the broken vegetables and fruit ones though? Like
I have heard of that actually.
The ugly fruits. I can't remember what it's called, but
why can't I think of that either? There is a local guy that sells meat here in Kansas City called Riverwatch Beef. He lives here, but his ranch is in Colorado, and I actually hear that his beef is like out of control. Good.
Oh.
So, I mean, I think that they're springing up everywhere. I think there's no end to them. It must be very lucrative, honestly.
And it's a new way consumers are shopping, which is right in line with what we're going to talk about today. So we have brought you guys on to talk about channel shifting in the meat industry and how consumers how the pandemic maybe caused the way consumers are shopping for their foods to change, what might rebound after that, and what it all means in the meat world. And I know that it changed the way I shop quite a bit. Actually, mine's the reverse of what most people are doing. Like I would order my groceries online or like through Instacart before the pandemic. And then everybody started doing it. So then it was going to be like, it's going to be 5 days before you can get your groceries. And I'm like, I can't starve I could starve for 5 days, but it wouldn't be great for me. I might lose some weight, start my
So you did that before? You were already using Instacart?
Yeah, I like immediate gratification though. Like I want it to come today. And so when everybody started doing it, I was like, dang it. So then I actually started going to the store more frequently for things than I was prior to the pandemic. But I know that it's not true for everyone. So
what about you, Ashley? Amber, do you guys get your things delivered?
Yeah, I had a similar experience to CJ. Like I was using online delivery services before the pandemic, and I thought it was amazing because you're just picking it online. You don't have to go, save so much time.
Yes.
And then when everyone started shifting that way, I was getting like fewer delivery times available. And so I, like CJ, was getting really irritated. Like, hey, this is my zone. And you guys didn't know anything about it. And now you're coming in. So
yeah, we actually still do the in-store grocery shopping, just more reduced trips as a result of the pandemic.
Oh, so are you looking for things with longer shelf lives?
I am not, but I should preface this with my husband is like the main decider of our grocery store trips because he is the cook in our household.
Oh, nice.
So that's his sphere of influence.
So when you
Great. Dinner at Amber's.
Right?
Anytime.
So I know it's clearly changed the way we are shopping. When you look at how the pandemic affected consumers overall, and more specifically in meat, how did we see that shift over the pandemic in the way they were shopping? Like, did meat sales go up? Did meat sales go down? Do we know how that changed?
Yeah, we definitely do. Throughout the pandemic, we did not see meat sales go down. We actually felt the opposite. They increased by quite a bit, especially at the retail level. I think, more people are definitely shopping online and trying to use the delivery services to buy their groceries. Meat is included in that. I think one of the interesting things, though, kind of now that the pandemic is not declining, but just extending, I think consumers are being asked, like, are you going to continue to buy products online? A lot of them are going to continue to buy products online, but meat was one that they are still a little bit weary about. And it's all around that freshness aspect. I mean, Jenny, you kind of spoke to it earlier, like you want to go in and feel like the products, you want to look at them, you want to smell them, and visually that is something that they're definitely wanting to do for meat.
So you said that during the pandemic, meat sales actually increased. I wonder, is there more research around that? Like, I wonder why it increased. And was it people treating themselves because they couldn't go get a steak in a restaurant, or
both, right? So, a food service, like people were always going out to restaurants and enjoying like time with friends or wanting, to celebrate themselves and going out to eat. And then when the pandemic happened and people are just feeling less comfortable or restaurants are shutting down completely, they're having to do the cooking at home for themselves. And so if you're doing cooking at home, you're going to go to the grocery store, you're going to pick out different products, serve breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks, whatever, now inside at your house versus going to get them at a restaurant.
Yeah.
What I thought was interesting is, I think you both mentioned, and there was this importance on freshness. And to me, when you think about going to the store less, I think you would get and I don't know if it's fresh versus frozen or just the way, like, does it appear fresh when you unfreeze it? But to me, if I'm only going once every 3 weeks, I would have to buy something frozen instead. But everyone wants like the fresh meat and the stuff that's like in the butcher, like we were talking about, or from a butcher block type scenario. So I don't know, that it seems the reverse in my head, the way my head would think about it.
Yeah. I always believe the labels when it's like fresh frozen. And I'm like, ooh, that must mean they froze it like extra fast. And so it's still super fresh. But I know that that's probably like a total marketing gimmick. But you know, when you get like, you buy the vegetables that are like fresh frozen, it's like, yes, I got fresh corn at home and frozen. I don't know why I think that, but
just thinking about how people were consuming it too. Like if they're ordering it online for use for that day versus like maybe they are going to Costco, buying it in bulk, and then, you know, freezing that 15-pound pork butt into 5-pound blocks and
cut it up first, because
I know
it so sucks when you don't.
I know.
So one thing we saw also was that there was a kind of this increase in looking for better value or value-added meats. So I'm going to preface this with a question of, what does that even mean? Like, what is a value-added meat, or what does value in meat mean?
So I would say that like a value-added meat would be anything that's seasoned or brined or maybe even processed a bit, so like cubed. Definitions can vary a little bit. But
so they've taken some of the extra steps for you already, so that I don't have to do that, which is fantastic.
Yes. So if CJ is preparing a meal, some of that work has been done.
That makes more sense. So
it's, no, I was going to also just add, you know, it's all around like that convenience aspect of it. So some of the things that I've even seen at my grocery store is like, instead of just having like ground hamburger, like it's seasoned already for tacos. And then it's like a specific flavor that might be really unique to a region or something like that.
Do you think that's because everybody had to start cooking at home and they don't know how to cook, like me, where all of a sudden I'm like, I have to cook all these meals every single day, and I know like I can't cook very well, like it's dangerous, or because of time, and like now you've got your kids at home, and
I think it's both, right? Like I don't know if you guys had the same experience, but like I always relied on a handful of meals. And if you're eating that handful of meals like every 5 days, eventually you're just like, I am done with.
Never want to eat a taco again.
Yeah.
Or
like,
spaghetti.
Yes, spaghetti was one that I was thinking of.
Me too.
So,
yes.
I think it's about like trying to get new flavors, new ideas, and bringing those in for variety, but also just like, I don't necessarily want to go out and buy all the spices, or I don't want to buy a sous vide. So maybe I can buy a product that's already sous vide for me and then just heat and eat type of thing. So it's, you know, both variety and convenience.
That gets me out of my comfort zone all the time. When I find something that's pre-seasoned or like chicken, like I love looking in the counter where the butcher is at the grocery store, because they always have like chicken Kiev or, you know, things that I'm like, all I have to do is grill that. And it's like going to be delish. It gets me out of my comfort zone.
I think that's why I do the meal boxes or like the meal kits, because I would never branch out. It would be spaghetti literally every day of my life. So I'm like, okay. Well, we are joined today by Amber and Ashley, and we're talking about channel shifting and what it means in the meat industry, how consumers are shopping, how they're cooking, how the pandemic played into that, and what it might look like post-pandemic. But we are going to take a quick break to play Eat, Save, Give.
Now it's time for Eat, Save, Give, a thoughtful peek into the hearts, minds, and taste palates of our guests.
Eat, Save, Give. So this is the segment where we will give you 3 fantastically delicious options of food.
You're not always fantastic. Come on.
And you will have to decide which one you're going to eat right now because you just can't wait, which one you are going to give away because you have kindness in your heart like Amber, or which one you're going to save for later because sometimes things are just better the next day. Are you ready? Are you ready for it?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's go. Option 1, surf and turf, steak and shrimp or lobster. Beef Wellington, a Gordon Ramsay special. I'm not sure I've actually ever had that. Or slow smoked barbecue brisket, which in Kansas City would cause a riot. You'd say, what are you going to do?
I'm going to eat the surf and turf. That's go-to every time. I'm going to save the beef Wellington. I've never had beef Wellington, so I want to try it, but just not right now. feel like it's more of like a holiday meal.
Just not right now, though.
Yeah. And I'm going to give away the beef brisket. When I do barbecue, I prefer to eat more of the pork side. So
you're going to give away barbecue as a Kansas Cityan?
I know. Well, I have it all the time. So
that's true.
It's an easy thing to say, like, tomorrow.
Just for those who were unaware, beef Wellington is an English steak wrapped in puff pastry and then baked.
Yeah, it's freaking delicious. I love it.
I love puff pastry.
I've never had it. We were looking at making it for Christmas, and then we went with something else. But
it's really, really good. It has to be done right, or the steak inside is gross. But like,
do you make it, or
I've made it. Yeah, I have a sous vide. I like to sous vide. I really like meat. Like, and it needs to be perfection.
Yeah. Cucumbers, hard pass.
Meat,
no go.
All the meat.
Gonna leave Jenny's house with the meat sweats.
That's for real. Don't even. And we're gonna give you lots of bread too. So it's just gonna be a rough night after you leave, but you're gonna enjoy the meal. So
I feel fantastic. Amber, what are you doing?
Okay. I'm going to eat the beef Wellington because I've also never had it, but it looks like just a hilarious amount of work. And so I'm going to give the surf and turf because I think it wouldn't really keep very well. And I'm going to save the Kansas City barbecue because I think that will last in my fridge.
You're so practical. So smart. Because, I mean, I'm with you. Like, I want the beef Wellington now because the puff pastry and the meat, they're not going to heat up well later, right? Yeah. But I love surf and turf, like, above almost all else, especially if it's some kind of shellfish. So I guess I'm going to save that. But it doesn't heat up well, but whatever. I mean, the beef Wellington would be grosser heated up. Grosser? Is that a word? And then I am also going to give away the barbecue because we live in Kansas City. Barbecue is like literally part of the main food groups here. It's like milk, eggs, cheese, barbecue.
I'm going to follow suit with Amber. I'm going to eat the beef Wellington now because I haven't had it. And yeah, I want the puff pastry to be like warm and flaky and delicious. I had a hard time because honestly, I don't really like steak or barbecue. But I'm going to keep the barbecue because it does. I think that would probably get better over time. Like, leftovers tomorrow, the next day, it would probably be like flavorful and I could probably handle it. And yeah, you guys can fight over the surf and turf and one of you can have the lobster and one of you can have the steak. I only eat that at like Christmas and weddings when it's my only option. So
you really don't steak?
No. Mostly part of it's because I don't want to have to order it and say like, well done. So I'm like, can I get like medium well, but like on the upper end of medium well, like a little well, I'm not going to say well done because I refuse to partake in that. And I don't want to be judged. But if you could just like double up on the wellness.
Yeah.
You're going to be judged.
Eating a well done steak is disgusting.
Also, everyone else at the table has to wait for it to be done. And it takes way longer, right?
I have a fear of like something, if it's going to be too raw, I'm going to get sick. So I overcook the chicken real bad. Like Brandon's like, look, it's so moist. And I'm like, think that there shouldn't be any juice. Like it needs to be rubbery. I do the same thing with steak. Like there's some pink in there. I can see it. Like,
no, but that's okay.
I know.
The bacteria is on the outside. You just sear it.
It gives me like a panic.
Sear that right off.
So,
well, you never want my sous vide steaks then because I sous vide them to medium rare and then I sear the outside and it's absolutely killer. But you would hate its guts. You would not.
I'll try it. I will try anything once or like once a year. I try it again because I'm like, maybe it's like a kid thing and I just still have that fear for no reason. But either way, we are going to hop back into it. So we are joined by Ashley Robertson and Amber Beckett, and we are talking about channel shifting and the way consumers are purchasing their foods and what that means for the meat world. So with this growth and greater interest in convenience and like some of these value-added meats and foods, what does that mean for food manufacturers? So like what are the hurdles that brought to them, or maybe new opportunities that it opens up for meat manufacturers and people that are developing these meat options?
Yeah, I think it's always, it's bringing them the option of just getting more innovative with the type of products that they're offering, maybe the different packaging that they're also putting out there too. Some people want to buy in bulk, others want to be able to have something that they eat right then and there. So I think that's opening up the door for a whole slew of new types of products. Even when you're thinking too, like expanding into snacking too, right? Like there's a lot of people looking for healthier snack options, and they want to make sure that they're having snack options that include a lot of protein. Like that's a huge claim that people are looking to bring into their diets. Not a claim, but
like a movement.
Yes, a movement.
A movement for sure.
Yeah. I mean, you remember when it used to be, you know, like if you just reduce the sugar in your granola, that was like the way to go. And now it's like, well, if it doesn't have 25 grams of protein, I'm not even going to put it near my mouth.
Well, and that's kind of what I'm wondering. Like people are trying to introduce all of this new, like they are way more cognizant now of the things that are going to help like food with function. But also if you're like me and you were already scared of foods and the potential illnesses it could bring, and then the pandemic came and increased that even more. I'm like, these are almost juxtaposed in my mind. So that seemed like that would be a challenge. Like, how do you make sure that I feel like the food is safe when I'm trying to introduce like increased protein into my diet? And I don't know how manufacturers are doing that, but I know that we can help.
Actually, that's a great point too, because, you know, as online delivery becomes more of a thing, that means that the supply chain from the manufacturer to the customer's refrigerator has potentially gotten a bit longer, and with more opportunities for temperature abuse along the way. So it's a kind of an emerging category that could use some attention.
Temperature abuse. That sounds kind of serious.
Yeah, it's basically the idea that something that should be refrigerated could then be sitting in a cooler. And if it's a while before you get home from work to refrigerate it again, the temperature could get into like the danger zone where microbial growth could occur.
One more thing for me to add to my
anxiety.
You're not helping CJ.
Also, like, I don't know if the temperature abuse does it, but that longer distribution channel, does that cause an increased need for like the protection of the color of, because, you know, sometimes like the meat gets old and it starts from like gray and you're like, ooh, that's like that should be a signal, I'm sure. But once it gets to that point, I'm like, this is for sure something not to eat.
You could get accelerated color loss. You could get increased microbial spoilage. You could get lipid oxidation and off flavor generation. So there's a lot of preservation challenges that could be shifting a little bit as consumers change the way that they purchase.
Yeah. And then if you don't get to pick it out yourself, right? Like I still order Instacart and I get mine in the same day, you guys. So I don't know if it's where we live or what, but I love Instacart and you know, the grocery delivery services. I only started it since the pandemic, but I don't get to pick out my steaks anymore or we get Butcher Box too, let's be honest, but we're meat eaters around here. And I don't get to pick that out or my produce. And so that's the only downside. It's like, I hope they get what I want. I hope, you know, I don't end up with something that we won't eat, like that part right there. And then also think about, like you were just talking about, the longer, you know, times where, you know, it could get in the danger zone. Well, Instacart or any of those delivery services, they could deliver 2 or 3 people's groceries, right? So how long is your meat riding around in the car?
Sitting in their trunk. Yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't really bother me that much, but I think that it would bother maybe you, CJ, or, you know, people that care more about those things. I'm just like, I'll put it in the freezer. Probably kill whatever's in there.
I wasn't worried about it till now. What did you learn from this episode? Fear. No. Okay. I know we're out of time and it happens always so quick, but if you were to look at 2021 compared to 2020 and what's going to happen moving forward, what would any parting words for those listening of how things might rebound, what might change, what might stay?
Ooh, that's a good outlook. I think it's going to be really interesting to see kind of what happens in the future. Now that consumers have more experience cooking food, right? They have more experience or association with the various different proteins like they've included in their diets. I would be interested to kind of see how quickly that shift happens back to food service versus continuing to shop at retail. I don't know what that looks like, but I think that's going to be something that we're all
keep our eyes on.
Yes, 100%.
It is interesting.
Yeah, I don't know about you guys, but I'm planning to eat out for like a month when we can just go somewhere with no masks. Okay, maybe not a month, but seriously, and I can't be the only one that thinks that. Like, I just want to go to a restaurant and order food.
I echo that because I'm a terrible cook, so I've just been waiting for the moment that I could go back and eat a fancy restaurant meal again.
Yeah.
And as a mom, it's like you lose the option. All this, you know, it used to be like, oh my God, I don't want to cook. Let's go get, you know, X. But now it's like, I gotta drag my 4 kids and their masks and all the things. And It's not worth it, and I have to cook all the time.
I will concur with needing to eat out for about a month after this is all.
We conducted our own little panel right here. Now we know. We already solved that problem, right?
Back.
No one's going to buy meat in the grocery store anymore. Everyone's going to be eating it in the restaurants.
For at least a month.
For at least a month or two.
That sounds like a lot. That's a lot of eating out. I don't know if I can afford this.
A lot of eating out, it's true.
I need another pair of fat pants.
A week for straight. Well, that's my other concern, right? People are going to try to get a little bit healthier because I don't know about you, but I gained the COVID-15. And
COVID-15, 35, 75, I don't know
Who's
anymore.
after college?
Exactly. Well, thank you guys for joining us today. It is always an awesome conversation. And I know we have a lot more to explore throughout the year. So I know that you guys will be back on. But thank you. If you guys are looking for more information on what's going on in the meat industry, how the trends are shifting, what consumers are doing, how they are shopping, you can head on over to thecorbioncut.com where you can find all of that information and more. And you can also like and subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you stay up to date on when the newest podcasts are coming out. And now that we've been talking about steak and surf and turf and all of this gloriousness for the last 30 minutes, I am starving and I think it's time to go find something to eat.
And don't forget, keep creating.